The rumors are true. I've done about 50,000 sales meetings. I used to train sales teams, and I want to share with you simple frameworks you can use to help people make positive changes in their life. So this isn't just about selling a product or a service. It's about being the guide to what they want from their life in a way that you both benefit. So what is it? You need to use your ears. You need to look for this chat, and you want to use responses that encourage more of that chat. So let's start with the first acronym, ears. We need to use our ears more than our mouth. That's about exploring the gap between where they are and where they want to be. What does that actually mean? When people are trying to make a decision, they're torn between not taking action and taking action. And the first step is understanding, are they ready and are they motivated? So you explore their values, what's important to them. Like a mother, does she want to provide and protect and support her family? They're worried about weight, where they feel misaligned. They see themselves as an athletic person and they're not healthy. So the more we explore who they want to be or where they want to go and how they're behaving now, the bigger that gap feels, the more motivated they are. And we're not telling them anything. We're using our ears to explore the gap between where they are and where they want to be. It creates urgency, motivation in their own words. So the second one is ask questions. Ask questions, which I can't spell for shit. Questions should be spelled different. Do you ever think about like how retarded that is? Like knife. Try and spell knife. Knife. You know, I imagine when I have a kid and they come up to me, Dad, I've learned this new word. How's it spelled? It sounds like knife. Oh, you mean knife? I wouldn't judge them. Like that's actually how it's fucking spelled, but let's unpack that for another day. Should we spell questions with a K? There we go. Questions. Now I forgot the I. So you need to ask them questions to achieve three things. Ask questions that lead to them telling you how willing, able, and ready they are to change. It's only true if they say it. Oh, you should do this. It's kind of like a mother lecturing. Oh, you need to wash the dishes. What are you doing with your life? Get a job. I'm not projecting. Obviously, my mum may have lectured me to do that once upon a time, maybe last week. But you know, here we are. You can't lecture someone into change. So we're trying to ask questions to hear their reasons why they want to fix the gap. Because now they've acknowledged there's a gap, there's nowhere to hide. Next one, reflect back and summarize. So you need to reflect back and summarize what you hear. Fundamentally, if a person feels understood, they're not going to give you resistance. For example, they want to change. They're not ready to change. You push things a little too far because you don't understand, so they resist. So the goal in selling is to truly understand, to explore their reasons for change, their drivers, the gap, why they want to change. Because if they say it, it becomes true. If you say it, they have to respond back and resist. It's kind of like a social dominance. If I say you should do this, I'm pedestaling myself above you. You should do this. Either I have to accept that social dominance or I need to resist. Oh, I don't know if I should do it. Like I've been thinking about it, as opposed to what would be your reasons to do this? Like what drives you? What will give you confidence that you could do this? And then the more they say it, the more real it becomes. Try and argue with someone to convince them that the earth isn't flat. Not saying it's not. I respect your right to choose. If you look at it, like it goes down a little bit, my opinion. Anyway, so back to selling. This is about strengthening their self-belief. So they might be willing to change, but are they able? A good example of this study, they told these teachers, they lied to them. They said, you see that retarded kid in the corner? He's really smart. I know you can't use the R word, but fuck it. This makes this more memorable. See that retarded kid in the corner? He did really good in the exams. You wouldn't believe it. That's interesting. Okay. And then they said, oh, see that nerd with the glasses? They actually struggle. They didn't use those words, obviously. Am I cancelled on my first proper video? Maybe. But funnily enough, because the teachers believed that the retarded kid wasn't retarded, they became a nerd as well. So, retarded kids, if you believe in them, they become nerds, okay? There's limits, there's cognitive reasons why someone may not be able to achieve what you achieve, but if you believe in them, they're more likely to. So, if we want to strengthen their belief, we believe if they are ready, willing, and able to change, that they will. Second thing is when they start talking, you're like, that's a really good trait. Oh, remember that time that you changed before? That was very impressive. So you're basically giving them proof that they're capable of changing, that they're able to change. And that's ears. So anytime you're going through a sales consultation, just think, how can I use my ears to explore the gap between where they are and where they want to be? And ask questions, spelled with a K, because knife. Reflect back and summarize. It's one thing to listen, but you need to understand and strengthen their self-belief. If they believe it's possible and think they can do it and have examples of where it's possible, they will do it. If you're using your ears, what are you listening for? You want to listen for this type of chat. It basically means talking shit about their current situation, talking good about how it could be, and how their ability to do it is high, and something they could actually do. So let's start with C. C is the cons of staying the same. Same. As you've noticed, I write like a 2-year-old. Finally, someone said to me that you write like you're left-handed, but I'm right-handed. This is not a good compliment. Or was it a compliment? And I need to talk how more willing and able I am to change my handwriting. I would turn up to parent-teacher interviews and just get like every time we had it was just them roasting. I had to mark as bullshit handwriting. Anywho. So, chat, cons are staying the same. So if I talk about how crap my current situation is, well, that's quite motivating. Tony Robbins told this story of a dog. Every day, he would sit down and look at the beautiful wilderness. The sun was on his face. He was getting fed bullshit pet food that's probably killing him. Unpack that later. But he had this beautiful spot. Every day he'd sit there. Amazing. Because the neighbor's dog, it might have been a greyhound and he couldn't fit in, but at least, he'd give it a red hot go because he's a little chihuahua. But anyway, so he's sitting on the spot and then there was a nail and it hurt. And it was his favorite spot. Oh, fuck. And he would howl and the greyhound would look at him with a disgust. Who's this pathetic guy that can't even sit down without howling? Can you shut the fuck up? I'm seeing a pit bull down the road. Do you know also what upsets me is pugs? Like, let them die. They're just choking on their own spit. Anyways, focus. So, least favorite spot. Was his favorite spot. Now it's starting to suck. And he would complain until the pain was so great, he had no choice but to change. So if we talk about the cons of staying the same, the more painful my reality, the less fearful the cost of change. Change is painful. If it's more painful to exist than to change, I'm going to change. Like rock bottom and addiction. Anywho, so H. What are the highlights of changing? You start imagining this beautiful world where you're with the other greyhound and you've got this little step ladder to have sex with them. And you're just thinking about what would it finally be like for suddenly everything in my life to change. And now you're making the idea of change less scary, more exciting. But the pain of existing so painful. Oh, nail. So then you change. So you're listening for when they talk. You want to encourage them to talk shit about their situation. Talk excitingly about change. What of all the amazing things that could happen, which increases their willingness to change. And now the next one is ability to change. Why is Ozempic so effective with these poor fatties? Because it increases their likelihood of achieving weight loss. Gives them the ability to do it. So what we want to focus on is 1, believing in them that it's possible. Like I told you about the retarded kids. 2, finding traits that they have that suggest, that is possible for me. And then also examples of when they were able to do it. So the more they talk about their ability and the more belief you have in them, change gets a little less scary, a little easier. Because you're like, the highlights, the greyhound. This nail sucks. Well, I've got a hammer. I'm capable of removing that using Ozempic. Does Ozempic make you not think about being fat? Like not thinking about food? I saw that thing where some people are going blind. Am I going to get sued by a pharmaceutical? Now T, tiny commitment. The interesting thing about commitments is the bigger the commitment is, the more resistance. So the smaller the commitment, the less resistance. So what we want to hear is them talking about a small little thing that's going to bring them closer to who they want to be. The smaller the better. And we don't judge them for it. And the most important thing is if they make a commitment, they say, hey Ryan, I'm going to do 10 cold calls by next week. Even though it might be a small commitment, you say, even if you don't accomplish that, still come back to the meeting because I want you to do it for yourself. I don't give a fuck. If you do it, fine. If you don't do it, fine. Main thing is we're on this journey together and we want you to change. You don't actually say those words, but just think about it. Fun fact, if you are in an abusive relationship, it takes 3 times of breaking up to finally break up. And they did this interesting little study. They tested what happens if on the first session when they break up, you're happy for them. You're like, that'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? So you're their coach. They come to you. They're like, I finally broke it up with Dave. He's an asshole. He does all these bad things. You're like, oh my God, yeah, fuck that guy. A strange thing happened. They wouldn't turn up to the next session because of embarrassment. So the important thing is to not judge them whether they do it or don't do it so they actually come back. In a sales context, some people are meant to do these things. They're meant to get these documents. They're meant to talk to the business partner. They're meant to convince their wife. You want to make sure they actually don't fear the consequence of coming back. So let's say you're calling a lead over and over and over and over again. They're like, fuck off. I used to be afraid of that until I realized I was actually conditioning them to not talk to me. So if every time I call them, it's a positive experience, it doesn't put pressure on them. We're always just trying to explore that gap and help them achieve what they want in life, whether it's in my best interests or not. They don't fear the call. They don't avoid the call. So that's important. A tiny commitment that they don't shit themselves over, and no judgment whether they do it or not, because life is their choice. I can't make you do it. I support your ability to do it. I believe you can do it. I'll be there for every step of the way to make sure you can, but ultimately it's your choice. Salespeople would use this approach. They would have a lower turnover of the sales team because the responsibility was on the prospect's shoulders, not theirs. So they were generally trying to help them, support them, but ultimately it was their choice. I was just the guide. So when they talk, we want to listen for this kind of change chat. So we use our ears to hear this chat. Talking shit about the current situation, the nail being like, the nail sucks. Highlights of changing, damn, that greyhound's fine. Ability to change, that fence isn't that high. I could take out that pit bull with the help of some pug. Tiny commitment, something small, not so scary that I could do today. Baby girl, what's your name? What's your little top bit of ring? Responses. Got the voice of an angel. I don't know. I've learned that enunciation. Fun fact: you need to talk low enough or slow enough that people understand you. Go figure. Someone said to me once, Ryan, you could be very influential if someone could just understand what the fuck you're saying. So now I talk slowly. First proper video talking slowly. Hopefully it doesn't bore you. Responses. So now it's one thing to use our ears and to listen for chat. Now what the fuck do we say? What are the responses we can use to encourage them to talk about how willing and able and ready they are to change? Because if they say it, it's true. If I say it, it's bullshit. They resist. So we want to respond to show our understanding. So the first one is we need to reframe what they're saying into something that supports change. So they might be like, I've tried everything, Ryan. I can't get any leads. All these agencies are full of shit and nothing works. If I'm going to use my reframing skills there's something actually in there that could prove their ability to change, which sounds a little weird. But if you actually think about it, your response could be, after they say, these leads are bullshit, you could say, it's really impressive that after all those setbacks that you're still continuing. It's incredible resilience. It must be something that's important to you. And then they respond, it is important. I do want to solve it. Now all of a sudden, where they're saying you're full of shit, it's not even possible, they've just admitted that they want to change it. All because you reframe their words in a way that shows them change is possible. So the most important thing with responses is you can't disagree with someone. In a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it talked about this concept of an argument. In an argument, there is no right or wrong. There's only someone that feels wrong. You're arguing with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your non-binary lover that resonates with O's and ones. I'm really going to get cancelled just trying to share ideas on how to sell. But anyways, you're arguing and then you win. They bend to your will. You're King Kong. You're like, fuck yeah, I'm so much smarter than you, you idiot, you little computer. What we realized was we went away, that person, they felt wronged. In an argument, there's no right or wrong. There's just someone that feels wrong. They feel like they lost. So we never want to argue. There's a saying in the military, the longest way round is the shortest way home. It's us against the problem, not me versus you. Because as soon as it's me versus you, best case scenario, you win while they don't like you. You lose. Maybe that's even better scenario where, they're so smart. And now they just walk around and then you feel shit. So maybe that's the best scenario. But anyway, the next one is E. E is for exaggerate. I don't know if you've seen those games online where like it's spelling bee, I'd fucking rinse it, obviously. That's not how you spell exaggerate. It'd be like exaggerate. Wouldn't it really, if you think about exaggerate. But anyways, it's an E, and I'm exaggerating how that sounds. I just rubbed out the bottom part. The bottom part tells me how far the camera goes now. Now I don't know, I'm just going off vibes. Exaggerate. So let's say someone says something that's all self-defeating, and they're like, Ryan, it's the worst market in New Zealand since 1990, which is actually true. And I can't make any sales. So what would you respond to that? That sounds self-defeating. You could argue, yeah, you're so good. Don't worry. I believe in you. It's so bad. What about if you exaggerate what they say? So they say, Ryan, I can't make any sales in this market. And you exaggerate it and you say, yeah, it's probably impossible to learn how to sell in this market. What do they have to say? Well, they have to minimize. You exaggerate, so they say, oh, it's not that bad. So you're like, yeah, it's probably impossible to learn sales in this market. And they have to respond, oh, well, I mean, it's not that bad. Like, it's not possible. Now suddenly they're talking about change. So instead of you disagreeing with them, being like, no, it's all sunshine and rainbows, in reality, you just need to make more calls to make more money. But that's a thing, we can think that in the back of our mind. It's their choice. They choose. So you exaggerate what they say, so they argue against it. So you're like, oh, that's so fucked. And they're like, well, it's not that fucked. Anywho, spot the emotions behind their words. You'll probably come across this guy. He's a farmer. He doesn't access to his emotions, so he drinks on the weekends. We need to help him understand the depth of what he's feeling, that gap. So if someone can't even acknowledge the gap, well, we need to help them a little bit. So you want to spot the emotions that are behind the words. So they're not telling you they have this emotion, you're just throwing it out there. Is this what you feel? So a good example might be, someone says, I hire these people, but none of them are as smart as me. They can't do it like I do. And you respond, oh, that must be really annoying. And they're like, yeah, it is really annoying, but I mean, it's something that's really important for growth and I need to work it out. So all you did was just open the kimono. Here's my boobs. I can't grow pecs, eh? I don't know when you do like, I just got man boobs at the moment, so don't judge it. Anyway, so you're basically saying, is there something else? Is there something underneath there? It ain't muscle, I'll tell you that much. And they dig a little deeper and then they start talking more about change. So we've spotted some emotions to encourage it. We're not telling them anything. We're throwing it out there to see if that's right, if we understand this. Are we understanding this right? Is that what you're feeling? Oh, I don't feel annoyed, I feel frustrated. Oh, what's frustrating about it to you? Oh, that gap's getting bigger. Oh, my current situation sucks. There's some chat, some CHAT. Anyway, so P, present their reasons. So you present their pros and their cons. So you're presenting to them the reasons not to change and the reasons to change. Why would you do that? Because the more aware they are of how they're sounding, the more clear that gap becomes. So good example would be, they're like, I know AI will save me a lot of time in my business, but I don't have time to learn. You hear that, you're like, well, that's oxymoron, isn't it? Let me just say it back to them so they hear what it sounds like. On one hand, you think AI will save you time. On the other hand, you don't have enough time. And they're like, oh, well, when you say it like that, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Yes, it is a no-brainer. So we just brought it out of your brain and we used an and, not a but, because if you use but, it cancels out everything in front of it. To give you an example, hey, I may have man boobs, I may not wash the dishes, but I'm great in bed. That tells you all the things before was bullshit, and now you focus on that last part. Let's get married. Now, offer an example. So just think, some people are retarded, like we revisited, so they can't quite get things. So you got to be like, oh, well, what about this thing? Does that help you understand it? This metaphor? A good example is vulnerability. A lot of people struggle with vulnerability. And what happens is, let's say they're a fuckboy most of their life, hypothetically speaking, wasn't me, and they had shallow interactions with women, and then suddenly when they go to love someone, they're all in, and it comes across as kind of gross and full on and intense. And then they close off more. So I use the example in vulnerability, it's kind of like going to the gym. You can't bench 300 kilos on your first day. You got to start with something small, and then you incrementally express your vulnerability, and over time you get stronger. Because you need to have a good response. If suddenly you hide yourself from the world and then you express yourself and they shit on you because it's so intense, or they withdraw because they can't handle it, that's going to teach you not to bench press anymore. We're just offering some examples to give them some ideas to make sure we understand and they understand. Now, no pressure. The most liberating thing about this selling style is it's their choice. They choose how they'd like to sell to themselves. They choose if they want to take action or not. Your job is just to guide into the direction of what they truly want. So no pressure. They're in control. They make the choice. So if someone comes to you and they're like, oh, it feels like you're pressuring me to do annual. Oh, it's right. It's completely up to you. You choose. You can do monthly, you can do annual. Another thing is you could use it in booking an appointment. You're like, oh, what's easier for you? Oh, would you rather meet on a Monday or a Tuesday? The morning or the afternoon? Or pricing. You're like, oh, what's easier for you? Would you like the big price, the middle price, the low price? Up to you. You're in control. When they feel in control, it's really important for humans, autonomy. Anytime there's no choice, they resist. Good example too in body language. So when I used to stop people on the street, we stopped 40 strangers a day. And I noticed something interesting is when you close off their space, they get resistance unless they're an actual alien. And some of them like it. But someone comes to you, so you stand on an angle to them to give them the illusion of space so they feel more comfortable. and they talk to you. If suddenly they're looking at you very intensely, then you got to look very intensely back, because that's called mirroring and matching. Can unpack that another day. But if you act in a way that people act towards you, they feel in rapport a lot quicker. Unpacking that another day. The benefit of that is, like, if you're getting attacked by a lion while eating a lemon, they could probably feel the lemon. Can you feel it? Me eating a lemon right now? It's intense. So let's say I see the lion and I go, oh, and start running, and they don't react. They're dead. So the ability to feel what other people are feeling is important, and to mirror each other. Anyway, going off on a tangent, the next thing after no pressure is the letter S. So you side with them. Still can't right, but anyways, you side with them with a little bit of a twist. You tweak it a little bit. So someone says to me, oh, Ryan, it is completely hopeless. There's nothing that's possible. I can't do it. Yeah, you're right. You should probably give up. Like, it sounds impossible. There's no way you could do it. Oh, well, I could do it. Like, you know, it is, like, I'm not saying it's impossible. Now, all of a sudden, because you agreed with them with a slight twist, then they're going to have to resist, because in rare moments do they actually want to go with you. They're usually trying to do that social battle. Like, oh, is he testing me, or are we on this jointly together? So you're agreeing with them with a sprinkle of change. Now, E, so you extend their point. This one cracks me up. So they might not have even presented you with some change talk, but you just add a side piece to it. You add a bit of fries, you add chocolate donut. I'm going to get Macca's, aren't I? No, I'm not. We're going to get rid of the man titties. So you extend their point to a more change-friendly chat. So they might be saying, yeah, I'm really frustrated with my current job. And then that's when you jump in with your little extra sprinkle. And you're thinking about changing jobs. Like, yeah, I have been thinking about that. Let's go in that direction. You want to be careful that we're jointly exploring what they truly want instead of giving them something. So we're never trying to push it a certain direction. We're just trying to find what truly matters to them, what they really want to change, and then just give it a little bit of a sprinkle, a little bit of a chocolate donut on the side there to go with the burgers and fries I'm going to eat later. No, I'm not talking myself into this. I wonder if it works the same way if I talk to a camera. It doesn't work as well when you talk to yourself. Motivation is interpersonal. Someone says it in a relationship, it's more likely to happen. Motivation isn't necessarily an internal thing. You're working with someone to intrinsically pull out their motivations in a way that's vocalized, so it solidifies because of your connection. That is way too complicated. We're moving on. Now, S, responses. Simple reflection. Simply reflecting back what you hear and summarizing it in a beautiful bouquet. So the easiest way to show you're listening is to repeat back what you heard in your own words, just to check. And then to make someone feel real special, as well as make them aware of that gap between where they want to be and who they are. If we relay back all the things they said about change, all the things they talked about, their frustrations in their current situations, their aspirations, the highlights of the things that could be that greyhound that you're in love with. I don't know if I'm going to inspire bestiality in this chat, but anyway, are little dogs getting with greyhounds? You know what I mean? If I Google search that, am I going to end up on a list? Like, do they make babies? I know like a tiger and a lion, if they get together, they can make it like a liger, this big fuck off cat. I don't know if that's genetically made or they just one got eager. You'd have to be a brave lion to get with a tiger. Anywho, so simple reflection. So you reflect back what you hear. So if you pull it all together, you're using your ears to listen for chat that talks about change, and you're using responses that encourage them to talk more about change.